We're joined today by John Begg, Non-Exec Director at ADX Energy. John, thanks for your time.
Yeah, thanks, Dave.
A unique position, ADX Energy, one of only 3 operators ever in the last 75 years to be operating in Austria. How did you find yourself to be in this position?
Well, what happened was Ian Charkoff, who's the CEO, gave me a call. I'd sort of retired, was living south of town. He came down to see me, described what he was doing. I said, let me go over there and have a look. I went over to Austria, came back and basically said, where do I sign? Now, in my 40-plus year career, the opportunity to follow big companies that have held ground for a long period of time, every time that's come up, we've found commercial hydrocarbons. And I could see the same thing happening there. And then 2 weeks later, of course, the company made the Welchshale discovery, which has the potential to be very big. We've got to test it successfully first, but there's proof of the, the concept.
As you say, you are walking in the footsteps of giants in the oil and gas industry. Presents significant opportunities to ADX being in country?
Look, it does. Look, sometimes the bigger companies have been disadvantaged because the technology's moved on, and maybe they've moved on to where they think bigger targets are. The smaller company comes in, uses the latest technology and is advantaged because of it. But sometimes also people get set in their ways, set in their ideas, and it just takes one different interpretation or one different piece of data that can change an interpretation. And that's really what's happened with ADX. ADX have gone in there, they've found a small oil field. They've now appraised. Yesterday we announced successfully that small oil field. We've drilled a potentially big discovery in the calcareous Alps, where the nearest well back in '89 was a discovery but was never able to be followed up. It's now a national park. Things happen. So I just think it's a fantastic opportunity for the company, and once I saw it firsthand, I was very keen to get involved.
What about the team? How important is the team and their experience in Austria?
Oh, well, that's very important. It's run by a fellow called Alan Roengruber, and Alan knows, back to front, how you get business done. Now, the Austrian government's very receptive to us, been very helpful. If you do it the right way, they're right behind you. And there's a whole stack of reasons for that. Now, Alan and his team know exactly how to work within the regulatory regime there. And, they're all highly trained, and we've got a way to a good start.
As you say, doing business in Austria is a positive experience.
Sure.
Does it differ to any other experience you've had globally? And how do you find doing business in Austria?
I've been to a lot of different countries, and been involved with oil and gas discoveries and developments in some places that people never get to. So for me, it was quite different to go to somewhere in Central Europe that was as open as this. Now, the key issue for the Austrian government, unlike some of our Australian governments, they realise they need oil and gas, absolutely need it, and they're trying to manage their risk. Currently, I think the country energy supplies are around about 35% from hydrocarbons, and a lot of that comes from Russia through a big pipeline through the Ukraine. So you can see how they might be thinking. If that got cut off, they could be in big trouble. So they want to build their indigenous supplies to offset that risk, and I don't think that's going to change. So they're very supportive of what we're trying to do, and they're very happy that we've gone out there and potentially opened up a whole new area with the Welchshale discovery.
As you say, you have been experiencing drilling success. What have been some of the highlights?
Look, I think, when I thank a fellow called David Meltzer from fairly early in my career when I went overseas to Singapore, and then he got ill and he didn't want any of the guys in the London office running the show, so he handed it over to me, and we made a giant gas condensate discovery in Myanmar. And I think from there, I feel like that was the real start of my career. From there, I was fortunate enough to be involved in quite a few discoveries in different places, and sometimes with limited data to work with. So you had to really sure of your stats, and to be able to rely on your teammates, the people within the team. So that was a highlight. Then there was, Cliffhead here, which was terrific. People didn't think there was oil offshore on the Perth Basin. Well, there was. Then they realised, oh, there's a bit more onshore Perth Basin. It just goes on like that. And sometimes, again, that's a function of those grounds were all held by big companies who thought they'd found everything to find there. And the smaller company comes in, gives it a go with some good ideas, and you know what? There's plenty more.
And ADX has clearly given it a go, drilled a number of wells, and achieved success.
Yeah, and I think they're very well positioned because what's worked for them so far, there's a lot more running room. We're going to be drilling next month over in the west of the country in the gas areas. And I think for sure if we stick to our guns there, we're going to find a lot more gas. And it's worth a lot of money there. Our calculations are that the NPV value of gas or the profitability of gas onshore Austria is nearly 6 times what it is in the North Sea, because it's onshore costs, pipelines everywhere, high gas price and so on. So I've never really been so advantaged in any place I've been to.
And where to from here? What should investors be focusing on from ADX?
Well, I think we've just announced today that we've had a successful appraisal of the Anchoff oil field. And I think we're going to be able to build up a healthy oil production base. And then we've got to test this well shale discovery. Now that's been seen by the industry and everything as potentially the biggest discovery in Austria for 40 years. It's pretty big now. Unproven, it's got to test well. So that's a challenge for us. It's a carbonate reservoir, but potentially very big. Then we've got the stuff over in the gas area. And I think what we're working towards is adding more wells. So those 3 activities, there's a lot for a small company. It's really taxing to our team. We've had to bring in help to do a proper job on all the things we're doing. And I think we're going to add some more. So I just see that there's a huge future in Austria for the company. Huge
future, great land holding, well funded, and a clear path.
Yes.
Exciting times ahead for ADX and its shareholders. John, thanks for your time.
Thanks, David. Yeah.